Today is Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020. The time is now 6 p.m. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Williston City Council. Mrs. Wright, would you please do?
City Attorney Fred Koverlin.
Here.
And City Clerk Latricia Wright. Here.
Thank you very much. We will now take a moment for the opening prayer and the pledge of allegiance to the flag led by the mayor.
Heavenly Father, we come to you and we ask that you would just be with us in this day of need and this time of need, Lord. We pray that you would protect all of us and protect those out in this country, Lord, and protect us from the demonstrations that is ongoing, and keep everyone safe. We pray that you would be with our police and fire and protect them during this time also, Lord. Be with our military men and women wherever they may be, and bring them back home safely. And Lord, we pray that you would just be with us tonight as we make decisions for the city, that we would use your guidance to make those decisions what is best for this city. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Item number 1 on tonight's agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, changes on the agenda by any member of the council?
I have one change.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Under item 5A, can we add item 5A, number 1? That's to add the proposed budget calendar. As it stands at the moment, it's part of the March review. So I need to have that separate as an item, agenda item.
5A, review of March 2020 financial report.
Needs to be proposed budget calendar, page 49. Added to it. Added.
Understand. Does everybody understand what the addition is? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you. Vice President Head made the motion. Councilmember Jones seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any who are opposed, please signify the same. The agenda is set unanimously by approval. Item number 2, public participation. This is the opportunity for anybody who is listening to call in, or any member of the audience that would like to address the council about any item. We will now pause for that. Is there anyone in chambers who would like to address the council? Is there anyone on the lines who would like to address the council? Hearing none, we will move to item 3. Item 3 is the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of A, the minutes of the May 19, 2020 council meeting and the May 26, 2020 emergency city council meeting. And B, resolution 2020-22, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, delegating and appointing Dennis Strode, Police Chief, as interim city manager for the city to perform the ex officio, oh boy, I left that word, ex officio duties of the city manager. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Councilmember Robinson made the motion to approve. Vice President Head seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any who are opposed signify the same. The consent agenda is accepted unanimously. We will now move to item number 4, old business. Item A is staff and board and counselor updates. This is the opportunity, council members, if you have something you would like to discuss. As we discussed, we're going to try to do this now instead of during the announcement. So, staff and board and counselor updates. City Manager Strode, do you have any updates for us?
Well, I did Friday afternoon, but I do now.
Okay?
We have worked with Aaron Mills, and we've created a universal email for the city manager, and that way, when my replacement gets here in the very near future, all emails will be consistent. It's the email is city.manager@wilsonfl.org.
Are you saying anytime someone wants to email the city manager, that is what they should use?
That will be the new email address, that way it's not individually specific. And when the new person gets here, then he or she will have access to all the previous emails that I've reviewed.
For the public?
Yes.
Would you say it again for the public?
It's city.manager@willistonfl.org.
Thank you.
Okay, the second item, I think I sent you an email over the weekend, all of y'all. It appears we had a lightning strike at the water pump at the top of the hill well. CJ's crew got on it first thing Monday, pumps pulled and be reviewed, hopefully either determined to be repaired. If we can, we'll get back hopefully by the end of the week. If not, we'll have to order one. Yesterday at the community room, of course it was very windy yesterday afternoon, a city employee was walking out the door, the wind caught the door stopped, didn't stop it, and broke the exterior layer of the glass. The building's still secure, and CJ's made arrangements to have the outer piece of glass repaired later this week.
Have we fixed the stop?
Yes. The emergency operations room that we had when the city hall was being built, we've been working on getting it all cleaned out this week. And hopefully we won't need to do it, but that's all. June 1st did start our hurricane season. We have, I've got a hold of their HR official and asked them to start doing a new job description review to make sure that the job descriptions we do have for all the employees are accurate or if they need to be updated. And then the last thing, it should be, I'll put a copy in front of all of you. The last meeting, Mr. Lippman had an offer on the property that the city owns, and he sent the gentleman a counter offer of $90,000, and he countered back with $30,000. So
Up from 27.
yes. So I just need to know the council will.
That's an excellent question. We'll just briefly discuss this by the council. Does any member of the council feel that is an offer they would want to accept?
No.
No.
I will communicate it to him tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I have.
Okay? How about anything from the council?
I have some questions for,
Councilor Robinson.
Miss Jackie about some of her updates, from her weekly updates. Thank you very much. I love them. But I also ask, are there any updates? We have not talked about this in a while between on the improvements. Remember we were talking about the facades, etc. Is there anything with the owners and
CRA meets next Monday, then we're gonna pick up where we left off. And where we left off to go out for an RFQ for help us with the facade. And also review our plans one last time for the improvements on the parking lot, so we can move forward on that.
Okay.
So that's on the, agenda for discussion as part of our, what are we gonna finish this year in our budget and next year.
Okay, also, don't go away.
Jackie,
I don't think the microphone is working.
it's not on, you turn the mic on.
Sorry to interrupt.
Tap it.
You
Okay.
mentioned in one of your updates, dated the 22nd, about the hospital. Is that a manufacturing plant that possibly interested?
No, it's a medical facility, and they did reach back out to me today and said, we are definitely interested, and we'd like to set up a meeting. I'm out of town. As soon as I get back, we'll make that appointment with you. It's Solutions. I don't know anything about them, but I know it's a medical facility that they're interested in discussing.
Gotcha. And, any updates on the demolition for the high school? You knew I was gonna ask that.
I sent a whole separate email on that. I wanted you to follow my conversation so that, not for action, but just to follow, so there's nothing lost in interpretation. The demolition's not gonna start until he secures, gets his site plan and everything approved for what we know is Aldi's.
Right.
I keep getting confused with Costco, so forgive me, it's Aldi's and Popeyes. We've had one other that I cannot divulge yet, but it's pretty exciting, another purchaser out there, so I'll just leave it at that. That wants to get, a bigger chunk, for a nice retail out there, so we're really excited. But just so you know, there's a couple things that need to happen. The plan that he submitted so far was not quite right because it still showed access on First. That's what I wanted y'all to follow, because it involves the
Right.
school board, right? The second thing is I met with DOT, Chief Stroke came out also and had some input into some of the traffic circulation. I wanted them to really understand, what happens, so that they understand the plan's not quite accurate, because it only demonstrated 2 commercial sites instead of the whole thing. But they told me that what they'll do is they'll approve full access on the Noble, but they'll also take into consideration everything we discussed in their traffic study that they have an independent consultant doing, the owner does, to determine whether a turn lane or a signal is gonna have to come at some point. I think you all know that when a plat comes before you, because he has to plat, he's doing fee simple sale, that you have to take highest and best use into consideration. So I just don't wanna lose the opportunity for the developer to deal with traffic issues and it not become a city problem. So that's what I'm anxious to do, is keep conversation going, keep everybody up to date on how it's supposed to work, and keep the project moving forward.
Thank you. Good. One more question, if I
Can I
might.
follow up on that one?
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Is there any reason he can't start demolition?
To him, he can't until he
Well, to him, he
finishes
can't, but-
he told me he needs an approved site plan. I've not received an engineered site plan yet,
I
so,
realize that.
we're waiting for that now. I told him I'd work with him on preliminary, and we try and get it as far as we can. We reviewed the building plan for Popeyes already, so we have it ready, so we're not to delay, but he needs to give me a site plan. Just so that we're not
But
jumping
without
the
a
gun.
site plan, he could do demolition.
could
if-
still.
if-
He could, but he said needs an approved site plan first.
Okay,
That's on him.
Right, so he wants, yeah, okay.
Now, demolition permits are good for 6 months from the
Right.
date of
I
issue,
remember
so
that.
he has a little time.
Okay.
Jackie,
So-
when I was on the same issue, when I was looking over his initial drawings that he submitted when he was first starting that, did not have any access to the private road. When did that change?
I addressed it a year ago when I first met with him and made him realize that he showed an access on the conceptual that I saw, and that it was a private road. He knew then, just after he purchased it, so I'm not sure what plan you saw, we'll have to look at
I have it at home,
Yes,
and
sir.
I was looking specifically, and it showed the drainage area
Mhm.
behind the site, but it did not show an access to that private road. It had an access from Third, but not the private road.
Let me enable it for some
That
reason.
came back again on his grading
It's already
plan.
started.
Okay. All right. I just was curious because I was
Shout out.
trying to follow all that.
Me too.
On the phone, I guess.
Rather convoluted.
I'm trying to find the picture, sorry.
I'm sorry, but it was about your point.
That's
I
right.
yield the floor
Thank
back
you.
to Councilor
Thank you,
Ross.
I've got one more, if I may,
It's just
I
grayed
think.
out. It doesn't even have-
I could go on. For either Miss Jackie or Wayne, about the Simmons property, we might go into that later, I don't know. The Simmons property in Woodfield, they cleaned the lot off a little bit and replaced the tarp, but that's it. Are there
Or
any,
Wayne, if I may, because
The-
he keeps check on
the
those.
fines, et cetera, what's going on there? Mr. Carson?
That was the brother of Mr. Simmons who bought that, and he is going to gut the entire inside out, and they're gonna bring it up to be functional, so we can be on the tax roll.
Gotcha, so they're still working, I haven't seen a person there.
Well, he's gotta get an
in
engineer in there because they had some damage on the outside that they've gotta have looked at still,
Okay,
so.
okay, so, okay, thank you, thank you.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am?
She is. I'm not saying that you can please sit. Any other counselor have anything they would like to bring up? Counselor Jones.
Yes, sir. A while back, we had resolution 2020-12, that was about the money market account. And I don't see that on our agenda. I know Mr. Bloom needed to explain that a little more to us before we moved on it, but I know we need to get it done. Especially when I look at the financials and I see the amount of interest we didn't quite earn. So I wondered when we're planning to address that again.
I thought it was,
It was asked to be tabled until Mr. Bloom could be here in person.
right.
Okay?
Yes, because I don't know about the rest of the council, but I had some financial questions pertaining to it. Yes, we can get interest, but what is the actual amount that, if it is minuscule, because the amount that was given in the initial one was really small amount. And until we have an idea, if we're talking $100,000, there is a expectation of return for all of that.
Don't you think it's something he could do over Zoom or go to meeting? I don't think he needs to be here to talk to us about it.
Well,
If we
I
can.
can't answer for Mr. Bloom, obviously.
Can you hear him?
Yeah, I mean, he's doing financial statements over the,
Yes.
I think he could do that as well.
I'm assuming,
So I'd like to see
is
it back on the
Mr.
agenda.
Bloom going to be doing this over that?
You're asking if you're gonna do
I
this.
think they're,
Okay. Well,
it's not on the agenda
It's
tonight.
not on the
I
agenda.
can really request that it be put back on the agenda.
Mr. Bloom can address it in a very,
Would you repeat the question, please?
the question is, I will let Counselor Jones repeat the question for Mr. Bloom.
We had questions about the money market, moving the public deposits to the money market account.
They have questions about moving the deposits to the money market.
And it is not on the agenda,
It's
so
not
we're
on
not
the
gonna
agenda.
discuss it tonight.
Does he think that he can convey those issues to us over GoToMeeting?
Do you think you can convey this through a go-to-meeting or some other?
Or over just the telephone.
Can you not hear
We
me?
don't have to go to that horrible act.
I
They're
think
wanting to
he called-
convey if you can,
I think he called it on.
if you can convey your opinion on those, moving the money to the money market account. The
Without
deposits,
being here
without being
physically.
here physically. Is that something you're comfortable doing?
And if so, I'd like to put it back on the agenda.
Yes, he's indicating, yes, that's fully acceptable.
I thought so.
Please tell Mr. Bloom that will be on the next council agenda.
He said it'll be on the next agenda.
Mrs.
Next
Wright,
council meeting.
did you get that? You have the floor.
The only other question I have, again, another thing followed up from the meeting, the minutes from the last two meetings. Has Miss Jackie been able to find out anything about the easement issue on Southwest 8th Avenue. The one we had at the end of the meeting last meeting.
Yes, ma'am, I researched, I've got all the documents together I could find on this. And what was peculiar was we found an old parcel map, back before everything went online, that showed 40 feet. Showed the 20-foot easement, and then it showed another 20-foot under it. And so that set me off on a search to try and understand. So I found all the minutes from when all that took place back in 1975 with the easement, thinking maybe there was some conversation. We searched, read every meeting in 74, 75, 76, and couldn't find it. So we felt like we did our due diligence on that. So I called Property Appraiser, and they have some really good researchers there. And they went through it and they said, you know, typically, Farrell Croft would have left some notes, because he was so excellent at mapping. They found nothing. So at that point, I asked Steve McMillan for an estimate to do one survey showing the rut road, showing the exact property corners, showing where the easement was, showing all the roads leading into it, going away, so we could get a good idea of what's going out there. And I wrapped it all up and gave it to CJ because it's his road, this is public works, and he understands, his utilities and his roadways to see if that's something he wanted to do, or if he wanted to, talk about how to improve that road to make it, because it's accessible to so many different property owners there. And of course, we were advised by legal to kind of sit back on it, so we're still in the balance there, figuring out, does the council want us to move forward? Our city attorney said, no, we should probably let them initiate it. So I just want to make sure I did everything I could to get information out there and check it. I had one property owner working with me on it. And so at this point, it's like, what do you want to do?
And that was really just my question,
Yeah.
not to move forward from where we are against legal advice, obviously.
Right.
But to know, I know we put that in your lap to try to find out what you could find out.
We did our best
I
and
wondered
couldn't
if you
find
found
anything.
Okay, that's all I have, sir.
Your Honor.
I'd like to ask Mr. Bloom, when is he going to be here physically?
Mr.
Have you got
Bloom,
Mr.
when will
Bloom
you
on
be
the
here
telephone?
physically? Jerry's asking.
Yeah.
Hello?
Oh, he did.
I had him.
Did
Oh,
you
okay, hold on.
send him?
My guess is Mr. Bloom doesn't
He
make
said
that
at this
decision.
point, he has no date of release to travel yet.
Mr.
No
Bloom,
indication, no
No,
speculation?
no idea, no speculation, no second best guess?
So it's his company not
Do you
allowing
have,
him to
do you
travel?
have any second best guess of when they may allow you? Right. He's hoping by July, but it is just a hope. It's nothing in,
Mr. Bloom has no control over that whatsoever.
Well, I understand that, but I just find it quite difficult here, the process here of getting with the departments and whatnot. I find it's gonna be difficult.
Unsettling. I find it unsettling.
Yes, and difficult trying to do it through emails and all this other kind of
Well-
stuff without sitting down with the department heads and going over that. That's just a,
This is the company we have the contract with. If we feel
can you
that
get on
we
the,
cannot
go to meeting? on the
work
computer?
within the parameters that they give us, then we have options.
Yeah, that might be better than the phone. Oh, you don't have a camera or mic.
Is that it, sir?
that's it.
Okay. One last call. Any member of the council have anything else?
They may have it wrong, hang on. Meeting number is 645-230-685.
We've spent so long on that.
645-230.
Item B, discussion with possible action, City of Williston properties with fines, liens, and foreclosures from the mayor, which we did discuss prior at the last meeting. Your Honor.
Yes, I'm not going into a long, drawn-out thing, because I think we hit on that at the last meeting. However, I'm asking the council to make a decision to go through with a foreclosure proceeding on the Winn-Dixie and also on the other properties, especially these other properties that have fines in the 5 figures above what the property value is. We have waited and done nothing on the Winn-Dixie property and on these other properties, and I think it is time, since the liens have been filed on the thing, that we follow through with foreclosure on these properties. So I'm putting it for the council to make that decision.
Are you specifying certain properties?
Oh, yes, we went
Would
through
you
those.
please specify the properties that you were, are you talking about every property on the list you presented last time?
Well,
Because
not
you
every
just now
property.
only mentioned a parameter.
Yeah, not every property, because we happen to own one of those properties
Okay.
that were in code violation, but we won't talk about that one. The Richardson property, which is the Winn-Dixie. Zamora property at 319 Southeast Fifth Street. The Roswell property at 51 Northeast 10th Street. What was then the Venable property at 18 Southeast 2nd Avenue, which is now the Nicola Power property. The Florindy property at 4091 Northeast 11th Street.
Fred's here.
The Days property at 118 Northeast 9th Street. The James property at, this is the one that I did not have the right address on, and Ms. Wright, I think, gave us the correct address on it. And Fallacy property at 415 Southeast 4th Drive, which is now owned by Chico Carroll. And then also well, I don't know what's happening on the lien on the Simmons property. But those that I named are the ones that I'm requesting the council make a decision to follow through on the foreclosures. And if you want to read the amount of the fines versus the property appraiser's value as of 4/23, I can do that too. But
I see no need, but I do have a question.
okay,
The names that you just read, was that,
that's every name on the list.
so there was not a threshold of value
Yes, they will.
versus lien ratio that you were looking at? It was, if we have fines on them,
I'll leave her phone.
I'm trying to understand how the properties are chose. Are we saying if we have a $100 fine on a piece of property, we foreclose on it? Is there a threshold? Because my understanding was that codes enforcement was going to try to work on a proposal to get us a standard. And Miss Jackie, if I'm
I can
speaking
address
incorrectly,
that if you want me to.
well, I'd rather it come from the people that are going to do it. Miss Jackie, am I correct?
Yes, sir, that is my goal, is that we've started the process with the rest of the code enforcement now. We want to make sure that we're fair and consistent with how we go forward with foreclosure. And I brought that up, asking for time, but I think, we can still do that, but I think the mayor wanted to go forward. with it.
Okay, well, that's fine, as long as I understand as long as the council understands what we're talking about. So my question is, are these every resident or house or property that we have fines for code violations on? Are there
All but
properties that we do not
All
have?
but one.
Pardon me?
It looks like all but one.
There are no others out there that we have fines on?
That I do not know.
That was my
No,
question.
there is not. These are the ones that was out of 4/23 that have fines on them.
Jackie?
As far as we know, this is the list of properties with fines on them.
So, to be clear, this is every property that we have code violation liens against.
My understanding, yes.
And we are now discussing the possibility of foreclosing on every property that we have code violations against,
Yes, sir.
regardless of the amount of the code violation.
In speaking with our attorney, there's one property that we can't move forward on just yet, because it hasn't met the 90-day, requirement. I need to probably defer to our city attorney for process, because I'm not that good at it yet. I'm not that informed, let's put it that way.
And I think the
Still
mayor-
working foreclosures, so,
Please don't interrupt.
I'm sorry.
Not you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're speaking.
So, I'm still trying to educate myself to make sure that our process is legal and complete. So I can't speak to it, so I'd like to defer that to Mr. Copeland if I could, to answer questions specific on me.
Okay.
Okay?
Vice President Head first, then Counselor Jones second.
I may be wrong, but I thought I remembered one of these was a homestead and we couldn't.
It's no longer a homestead. That is owned as a Moore property.
Okay. Secondly,
I'm sorry.
as ready as I am to move forward, I would certainly like to make sure that we have the right process in place and handle it properly. And there's more to the process than just the final piece of it, but I'm ready. I don't think we have any other choice other than to keep growing these numbers, but I wanna make sure that we do have the right process in place.
Counselor Jones.
I was just trying to say that I think that the mayor exempted the Simmons property from this list. Because
Yeah,
it's
I don't know
recently been
what to
sold.
mean, I
Right.
don't know what's going on
Right.
with that right now.
I just
Now,
wanted to say that, he didn't mean the whole list, he just means not that one, the way I understood it.
But the bottom line, it is every property that we have code violations, liens on, that we are talking about foreclosing on.
Except that one.
Unless there's a reason that we cannot. I assume there's a reason that we cannot that one.
I think because it just sold. and
Right.
It's different.
Right.
The city attorney is shaking his head.
He is?
Counselor, you can still go after a money judgment, you simply have to follow the same process. You will not have a lien on the real property, so you will not foreclose on that lien,
Right.
because that window was missed. But you can go after the violator in a money judgment.
Oh, sure.
The violator.
But just
did-
not a foreclosure, is what I'm saying. I think he exempted that one property from the foreclosure, if I understood him correctly.
Yeah, we would have, if I'm correct in interpreting Mr. Coberlin, you're saying we can file a lien on that property, but we cannot foreclose that property because it is sold, is that correct?
That would be it.
Okay, thank you.
I was just trying to make that.
I appreciate it, I just don't want to have 4 or 5 of us speaking at once. Your Honor.
Still have the floor. To answer, Councilman Head's question, and Mr. Coberlin can, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've had 1 or 2 other foreclosures. We have a process in hand that we use those as a test for the foreclosure process, and they went very smoothly. Is that correct?
That history is correct.
Okay, does that answer your question?
I understand that's what we did before, and we had selected a few to move forward with. I'm just, if we're in the middle of rewriting some procedures, and anything may change, I'd rather make sure that we have it all the way we want it, before, and it may not affect that piece of it at all, completely. And if that's the case, then, we don't wanna own these, we just don't have any choice. We're at the point where we have to take some action.
My understanding is we have 2 issues, and this is my understanding. Regardless of procedure, we're talking about foreclosing on all of these properties. After that, for future properties, the city planner is trying to get a new policy in place so that we have a policy so this does not continue to occur. So those are 2 separate items. City planner is not suggesting that we should or should not do anything. She is trying to tell us she sees the problem, she would like to rectify it, and she has a method, and the method will be to get a process in place so this does not continue to occur. And then she will make that division, will make that process, bring it to the council, so the council is aware of it. So, the issue before us right now is whether we want to foreclose on all of the properties that we have liens on for code violations, with the exception of the ones that we cannot. That is really the question before this council at this time. Do you understand the way I worded it? Would you like me to try again?
If you like.
I will be happy to. Every piece of property that we have code violations on, with the exception of the property that the attorney says we cannot foreclose on.
That's that homestead property.
No,
Simmons.
it is not.
What?
It is a sold
The
property.
Simmons property.
Okay, all right, okay, I got that one.
So the question before us is, are we going to foreclose on all of those properties? That's simple.
I would vote yes on
Go for it.
I will open it for discussion. Anybody else would like to add discussion? Vice President Head.
I'm just gonna state that I'm shocked that we don't have something out there with $100 lien or a fine, not a lien yet, but
I'm shocked.
$200, that's why,
That's why I asked the question.
yes, I'm, okay, that was my point.
They haven't met in 6 months.
That's true, they haven't met.
That's why you don't have any.
Anybody else?
I say we move forward.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we move forward with the, foreclosures on these properties that have been mentioned.
Second.
Councilor Robinson made the motion that we move forward with foreclosure on all properties that we can legally move forward on that have code violations in the city of Williston. That was seconded by Councilor Jones. Is there any other discussion amongst the council? Being that this is a issue, is there anybody in the audience that would like to comment on this?
I have a question.
You may comment. Please step to the microphone and state your name, sir. People cannot see you.
Jerry Wood, reporter. Spotlight on Lee County government. On my copy here, there's a pesos that's listed, but there's no fines listed. I was just curious what's going on with pesos. There's no foreclosure, no fines, what? Do they know?
No, there's no liens on those properties.
Why was it on
It was just a question.
here?
And we did discuss that at the last meeting, the fact that he did have some issues and we worked with him and he corrected them. And now he's fallen into disrepair again. So again, it's the Board of Adjustments that needs to meet to make additional fines. Cause he cleaned up the other ones.
Any others? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any who are opposed signify by saying aye. Aye. The motion passes 4-1.
Good.
Congratulations, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Item C, discussion with possible action, Independence Day celebration. City Manager Strode. City Manager Strode. Interim. City Manager Strode.
This is a follow-up from a conversation the council had a while back about what are we gonna do with the Independence Day. At that time, nobody in our area other than Bronson was gonna have fireworks, and last night Bronson canceled theirs also. One of the concerns that I have, and I hate it because I always enjoy the festivities, it's a great time for everybody, there's still no indication that I've seen is when we're gonna go to phase 2 of this reopening. We're currently still at phase 1, which limits people or groups of 10 and with social distancing. I don't know, because this is a huge undertaking by the city. I know on the public safety side, it takes about 65 people, other agencies, to make this happen. Public Works, CJ has all his people out. And there's several issues, I don't know if other agencies and other municipalities and state governments will join in, that's a violation of the governor's executive order, number one. Number two, if we did decide to do it, how are we gonna make sure that the porta potties are maintained and sanitized between uses? It's just a Pandora's box, and I hate to see it, you know, really do. I'd love to see everything come back to open, but, these are some of the concerns we have, and now, Tricia was right, it's getting applications from vendors.
And you have been holding them and not cashing the check, correct?
But it's one of the things is, you know, we're basically a month away from this event, so if we're not gonna have it, in all fairness to the vendors, they need to be told, so they're not stocking up on supplies that they're gonna get stuck with. So, that's my concern.
Would it be possible to have the parade and not the fireworks?
Then again, you rely on other agencies, for manpower, and I don't know if they will be willing to violate the governor's order, because you still, with a parade, you don't have the 6-foot distancing. And, the normal parade takes 32 people to make it happen. And you have,
And they must be police officers.
well, that are, certain trained individuals. We use a lot of the sheriff's volunteers and Ocala police volunteers and Marion County police volunteers. But you have to have 32 people to make it happen.
How many of those must be police officers?
Well, usually you have to have a car to go with them, you know, so there's some restrictions. And again, it gets back to the social distancing, you know, because this phase one, we're still 6 feet apart, and you have, and y'all have done the parade, there's areas that they're on top of each other, and then there's areas that they're spread out. So I don't know if you could have a parade with social distancing.
I, for one, would really hate, and I understand the fireworks, because that is mass gatherings. Parades are linear. I, for one, would hate to see the Independence Day parade canceled. I just think this country can through enough without that. But that's just one man's opinion. So, do you have a proposition? That's what I thought I'd leave it to the council. You know, that's, I'd like to say, I have a concern when you have an executive order saying, you know, you have to, you know, no crowds over 10 with social distancing, and we have a parade with a couple thousand people. And I think that if we put a parade on, and Mr. Coberly is the legal wizard in the room, not me, but if something happened and somebody contracted the virus, are we then legal or liable? So, City Manager Strode, do you have a recommendation? As bad as I hate to say it, I don't see how it can go forward. Okay, that's a recommendation. Now we will open it for the council's discussion. Vice President Head.
Is there a possibility, and is there any value in having the fireworks alone? Is the question that comes to my mind.
One at a time. Chief, City Manager Strode.
If you have the fireworks, where are the people gonna park to see them? You know, that's one of the problems, you know, especially being this first time in 50 years, Ocala has not had fireworks. And the people from Marion County are used to coming out on 27 to Castro property. Gainesville's not gonna have any, Bronson's not gonna have any, and so where are we gonna park with people, to watch them? You know, we'll do whatever the council wants to do.
Your Honor.
One morning I got on the phone here and called several of the cities around here, so I'll just give you an idea, then I won't make a comment. Hawthorne, Micanopy, Inglis, Cedar Key, Chiefland, Newberry, High Springs, Bronson, Gainesville, Ocala, Jacks Beach, St. Augustine, Clay County, Lakeland, Orlando, Deltona, Tampa Bay area, Lake City, no fireworks. City of Jacksonville is having fireworks. Live Oak, they're having fireworks, but the people are going to be required to stay in their vehicles parked around the city in order to see the fireworks. Alachua did not respond. And one thing that you might want to think about is that July the 3rd, that Friday, for those who are working, and since the July the 4th falls on a Saturday, those people are going to be off on a Friday. There's no place to go to see fireworks, to do anything, and they're going to think, oh, okay, Williston, here, they're having fireworks, let's go to Williston. And you're going to be looking at thousands of people, I guarantee you, coming to this. And with the restrictions that we are under by the governor right now, I just don't think that that would be advisable to have the fireworks and unfortunately the parade, and no one hates it worse than I do, but that we should proceed.
The first person who put my hand up.
I'm sorry, I only got 2 eyeballs.
I'm trying to tell you that I attended a webinar for the Florida League of Cities on
Yes,
this
ma'am.
exact subject yesterday morning. There were 4 different cities represented, as well as the Florida League of Cities staff. They are doing a multitude of things. Some of them canceled outright. Some of them have moved it to Veterans Day, and they intend to have their fireworks on Veterans Day. There were 2 that did that. There is one that is going forward. What they're doing is essentially what's been mentioned tonight. They're having drive-in fireworks. They're shooting from 2 different locations. They're asked their fireworks vendor to shoot higher than normal so that you could see it from other locations. They're actually shooting from a tract that's more central to town. So we would probably not have to have it out of town, because we would have people everywhere. We don't want to attract them out there. We want them to be able to see it from their home or from a parked car. And that's kind of what they went around about. One city actually took a portion of the money and donated it to a food pantry instead. Like I said, 2 moved it to Veterans Day. The one is doing the drive-in fireworks, and they're also producing it on YouTube so that they can see it more up close. And they have a local radio station that's actually broadcasting it, along with a virtual concert that's playing patriotic music. Like I said, multiple locations, 2 different launch sites, watch from your vehicle, have a virtual concert, no vendors at all. And I would tend to agree with the parade. As somebody who's worked the parade grounds where everybody lines up, as much as I hate to cancel it, I think the parade is probably one of the most endangered parts. You could social distance even at the Horseman's Park. We could draw circles on the ground. I saw people doing that too. Saw them drawing circles on the ground and the family sat in a circle. If you were part of that social distance group, you sat in a circle. If you didn't, you couldn't get any closer than that. But it was strictly about fireworks and not showing up until a certain time, and the fireworks going off like should start. So, I don't know, that's what I learned from the Florida League.
I'm not sure about the fireworks issue. I hate to cancel it, but I don't know how you restrict a lot of these cars. A lot of people are gonna park their cars and party.
So,
It's a prescription of gathering, I think.
So, I'm just trying to get the council's decision. And so we have 2 issues. We have a parade and we have fireworks. And I am trying to find out if this council would like to cancel both of them, or cancel one of them, or amend the way that they're done, one moment, by the methods that Councilor Jones, Councilor Ross,
It seems to me, from listening to everybody, that we've got more cons than we've got pros. And we're trying to justify the cons by taking away from the pros. It would be my opinion to cancel the whole thing and start over next year.
Yes, sir.
Then we don't have to worry about any of it.
There you go.
City Manager Strode.
The one idea I did kind of like that, Councilor Jones talked about was maybe the Veterans Day.
That's in November.
And the
Yes,
biggest
sir.
drawback is that it's in a different fiscal year,
Yeah.
different budget year.
Different budget year.
So
It is in
that's the
November.
only drawback.
But why couldn't you earmark that money to roll back over, so it's like a
I think you can do that, can you?
I mean, I'd love to do it for Veterans Day. If
That's
you go to
because
the
I do
council,
believe
I'd
that.
rather postpone than council.
Yeah, the parade is not here this year. I think the best, Miss Wright and I was talking about, I think we're 2 years out from the parade.
Yeah.
But the parade is always in the daytime, that's something we can do in the evening.
I like
So-
that.
So with Veterans Day, you would have the Veterans Day parade and the 4th of July fireworks, is that what we're talking
Well,
about?
the Veterans Day parade will be
Yeah, Veterans Day
somewhere
parade.
else in some other city, but it's always a daytime parade.
Mhm.
And then we could move to an evening Veterans Day fireworks.
So, all we're talking about is Veterans Day, a Veterans Day fireworks,
I'm good with that.
and no parade.
Right, so the parade.
The parade is on a rotating schedule,
Right,
and
yes.
it's not our rotation.
Right.
Vice President Head.
Couple things, I'll state first, I was simply posing a question that had been brought to my attention. I did not have time at this point there to think about it whenever they brought it to my attention. Later, when I thought about it, I have concern with bringing thousands of people outside to park in people's yards and on the side of the street, and I think the citizens that pay the taxes here that we're trying to look out for, while they might appreciate the fireworks, probably would see more hassle in it than good, so I'm fine not doing that. I wanted to ask the question what everybody's opinion on it was. Personally, I don't think the other pieces can happen at all. So with all that, I'm fine with a postponement of the fireworks and make some decisions about that and canceling the parade.
Not making a decision to do it on Veterans Day, just cancel it, and we will consider doing fireworks on Veterans Day, is that what?
I'm fine considering it, I'm saying we'll do it. I haven't given that a lot of thought. That was new to me and that was
Me
even
too.
thought about that. So I don't mind considering it. I'll vote on it if we have to, but I would probably be in favor of postponing the 4th of July fireworks till
But
we have time to.
we have to vote on canceling it. That's what we have to vote on, if that's what we're going to do.
And we don't have to decide on Veterans Day, we just need to
No, we do
vote.
not.
You leave me?
I'm looking to make sure that I include everybody, sir.
And I want to add what Vice President Head said, all I was doing was bringing you what I found out from Florida League.
Valuable information, thank you.
Because I felt like they had a little more expertise. When I saw that come across in my email box, I decided it was something I needed. I hate to cancel it, but it's probably the best thing to do.
I will tell you this. I like the 4th of July parade. I cannot tolerate the fireworks.
I sit right under them every year.
Well, if you go to a combat zone,
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
it's not pleasurable.
I can understand.
And with the few times that I was there, I left before they started, and I seek solace. So, I don't miss the fireworks, and I don't care if you do them on Veterans Day or 4th of July, I won't be participating in fireworks. However, I would miss the parade, but this is a council's decision, so do we have a motion to cancel?
Somebody wants to make it. We want to cancel, but we don't want to make the motion.
Who wants to be the bad guy?
I will make a motion that we
Thank you.
cancel the whole lock, stock, and barrel for this year.
Thank you.
Parade,
Councilor Walsh is
marbles,
making a motion
whatever.
to cancel the barrel.
I'll second it. The whole lot.
Council, is seconded the motion to cancel the whole shebang.
That's right, that too.
All those in favor of canceling signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any who are opposed signify the same. The entire 4th of July celebration will be canceled in
Oh,
the
God.
city of Williston
I hate that.
for the year of 2020.
I may cry.
Moving on.
Financial report.
Yeah, I gotta get paid down.
Stephen Blue, I lost him.
Stephen Blue.
Mr. President,
Councilor Ross.
Sergeant Long with the Sheriff's Department asked that he be informed of what decision we made tonight. Cause he's got Bronson in hand over there.
I'll let him know.
City Manager Stroh, would you
Okay.
see to it?
You're right.
Thank you.
Chief city manager.
Is it Chief City Manager?
Chief city manager.
Item number 5, new business. A review of the March 2020 financial report from Finance Director Stephen Bloom. You will find these on page 20 to 49, and he's gonna try to do this over the telephone.
Yay.
I presume, Aaron.
Yes, he's here. Go ahead, Steve, you should be on.
Yes. Good evening, council. Hopefully you can hear me.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Sir.
Yes? Okay, great. So I'm gonna walk through the slideshow, which actually, if you look at your agenda book, it starts on page 38. It's probably easier just to kind of go through the slides, and then I can certainly answer any questions, and if you'd like, I could even answer the question on the money market later, if the council would like, but I'll start with the performance slides. Now, the slide that you're seeing is through March, so this gives us exactly the 50 or halfway mark of the fiscal year, and obviously, normally I would say that's probably a good indication of how your year is going, but obviously, you know, the last couple of months and moving forward will be a little bit different with your revenue sources, so I won't have a great idea until maybe next month, April and May, as to what the second half of your year is going to look like. But I can report that the first half of the year, again through March, the city did very well in all the funds, and I will kind of walk you through, like I normally do, a fund by fund, top level, and please, if the call breaks up or if you have any questions, please stop me and I can kind of go back through anything. So this first slide, again, is your overview slide, and what I've done, obviously the same thing that we talked about at the last meeting, is the check marks to the right there mean that the fund is performing as expected, basically as the budget, you know, says it should be doing. The X's means that it's not on target, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just an X there so that we can have a discussion, and I can kind of walk you through why the numbers are not quite as what we have expected in the budget. So I will go through each of those in the next couple of slides. But again, overall, I think everything is doing well, but I do want to make sure I cover some of at least the utility fund in a little bit more detail as we go. If we start with the general fund, which is that starts on page 39, the next page. Again, the general fund, is always very front-loaded when it comes to your property taxes. So you can always expect, or at least for the first half of the year, for property taxes, to kind of exceed, your expenses and kind of be, again, like I said, very front-loaded in the beginning of the year. But, when you look at this, the good thing that you'll see is that most of your other revenue is right at or very close to 50%. And in some cases, like miscellaneous revenue, is exceeding the budget. one thing that's interesting to note is there was actually about almost $68,000 that's been received in delinquent property taxes this year. And again, when I say delinquent, that means it's from prior fiscal years. That's quite a bit of an amount to be getting. Normally, the amount for the whole year is maybe $5,000 or $10,000. So that I thought was interesting. Also note that the county has already sent in the $10,000 for the new fire vehicle. That we do not have, that on the books yet in terms of an expense, but we have received it. Now, in terms of your spending, which is the chart 2 on that same slide on the bottom right, all of the departments are in green, and that means that they're all either at the budget or favorable to the budget, with the exception of fire. Fire is at about 62% of your budget. Again, 50 would be right on mark. So what I've done for fire, and I think it was important, we talk about fire quite a bit and kind of the variable nature of the spending. If you go to the next slide, what I've included, and I will kind of keep including this slide as kind of a way of showing what's going on within the department. But what you can see on the left chart, that shows you by month exactly the number of incidents that the fire has responded to. And again, the red is the total per month, and then kind of the different colors there show you whether it's inside the city response, outside in district, etc. But what's of interest, if you look at the right chart there, that's the fire incidents by fiscal year, basically through March of each year. So, in 2018, the fire department responded, for the first 6 months of that year to 850 calls, whereas this year already they're at 1,071. So when we talk about quite a bit as to, where the fire department is budgeted versus why are they not exactly on budget, the number of instances have just continually grown each fiscal year. So that was kind of why we wanted to put this slide together and show you, what's going on. In terms of percentage, it's up by 151 incidents, or about 16.4%. And then comparing that same number to fiscal year 2018, it's about 26% of an increase in terms of what they're responding to. And again, how that translates back to numbers, it's obviously, each response and the crew that is going out is obviously, is a variable factor that goes into the payroll and the salaries, and that's really where, the fire department is kind of exceeding their budget. And again, there's just obviously no way to know when we do the budget from year to year what those rates are going to be, or to budget for them in general. So again, we thought this slide might be helpful as we have those discussions, and obviously heading into the budget process. Again, this was some more data that we thought would be good to present to the council.
Mr. Bloom.
Let's see.
Mr. Bloom.
Yes.
Before you leave this, when the fire department responds to incidents outside of the city, who pays for it?
We do. The city pays for it. The city pays for it. However, it's got to. The county does contribute each year to the city's general fund. It's just not normally. It's just not enough. Or rather, let me put it this way: the increase that we have received each year from the county has not been sufficient to cover the growth in the incident rates from each year.
That is what I'm trying to get to. Covering,
yes. So
covering fires outside of the city limit has gone up substantially, but the county's payment to the city has not kept pace with incidents outside of the city. Is that accurate? Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying. So
okay.
The county contributes, it's about 200, and let's just round it to 250,000 for the sake of this discussion. That number certainly has, the county has provided increases. The fire chief every year does a great job of trying to make the case and they have given some increases each year, but it really has not been, sufficient to kind of mirror what is being, the rates and what has to be paid out for the fire department in order to respond appropriately to those, to each of the incidents. So, again, this chart is kind of the opening round and trying to, be able to make the case and show exactly what's going on within the fire department.
Because when I look at the inside the city, the variations are not great. The outside of the city is where the growth has become, according to your chart.
That's correct. Yeah, no, and that's kind of why I wanted to show the different colors, the yellow, or I'm not sure if you're seeing it in color or not, but the yellow, which is the middle in each of those charts, is outside the city. And you can see just the volume, the volume differential between inside and outside, there's a difference. I mean, there's just a clear difference.
Okay.
In what we're talking about.
Sorry to interrupt you. I needed to be clear. You can move on.
So, next up is your airport. And this is kind of one of those good news, not so great news approach here. Overall, the city, the airport has a surplus for the year, has made a profit of almost $41,000. I guess, the not so great news, and that's kind of the very first row there with the X. Revenue is not and has not been kind of what we've seen, kind of in the past. We have not seen the same level of fuel sales that we've seen in the past. So, I mean, again, even with that, the expenditures are been sufficiently in control that there has been a profit, and it's not doing too bad. I mean, 41,000 for the first 6 months. Obviously, if you project that out, that's almost 82,000 for the year. I think we'd probably be pretty happy with that if that were to hold. But again, it just, kind of in reporting the dollars and cents of that, obviously, it has not done quite as well as we would expect it to do. And maybe when we do the budget, coming up, we'll probably have to maybe taper some of the fuel sales back down a little bit to see if this is maybe the new norm or not. There hasn't been any capital projects through March. If there was, those would normally be covered 100% by grants. But again, just wanted to mention that. Okay, next up is the CRA fund. Again, you have green across the board here on this one. Really the two big highlights that I have on there, just kind of reminders. County distribution, which is it's an annual distribution that we get. Usually it's in December and January. We've already received that. And then the other big piece so far is the property purchase, obviously. That was about $96,000. So those are already in your numbers. With that, basically the CRA for the first half of the year has got a small surplus of about $1,700. But there really hasn't been, much else so far. Last up is the utility fund. And again, one of the big things we always talk about is the role of depreciation within the fund. So without the depreciation, with it, it's got shown a deficit of about $40,000. Without depreciation, which again is a non-cash transaction, the utility fund would have generated about $169,000 for the year. Normally, the electric utility, in terms of revenue, kind of is slow in the first half of the year and will pick up. But you can see from the chart there, chart 5, water, solid waste, and sewer, all three of those for the first 6 months are actually performing above budget in terms of revenue. The next page shows you the breakdown by utility service. And, again, electric, you can see there, and usually when I look at this, I'm looking at the operating income line first, because that is before the transfer to the general fund. So I'd always like to see that, you know, all of the different utilities are profitable. And if they're not, then I would look at the depreciation to see how much depreciation has been booked, and then, you know, basically would the utility break even if it wasn't for the depreciation. I say that because if you look at the, you know, obviously electric is the big generator for, you know, for the utility fund, but gas is not doing too bad. And I just wanted to mention that there has been, you know, some improvement in the gas. I know it's showing here about a $29,000 operating income loss, but that's not too bad when you consider 24 of that is depreciation. Now there is included in these numbers the first infrastructure invoice was sent out for $12,500 that has been sent out and has been paid, and that is included in the number. And obviously, as we've talked about in previous meetings, we will start to see the overall revenue for the gas fund improve as that particular contract goes up. But again, water, solid waste, and even sewer is doing very well and has made improvements over the last several years from where we kind of started when we first looked at the kind of the rates, especially for the water and sewer. I have started to include in these slides, and a lot of this is really just for informational purposes and kind of in case, you know, questions come up during the meeting and we want to reference back. But I have started to include a capital project slide, a capital spending slide, and the new one that I included this month for you is an outstanding loan slide. And again, as we're kind of getting into, you know, budget season, all three of these slides will be helpful reference tools for us. But, you know, in particular, it'll be good to kind of be able to reference the outstanding loans so you can kind of see, you know, basically once the purchase of the fire truck, that particular loan is paid off, it really will just leave you with, in terms of true bank loans, the construction of City Hall will be the only loan that'll be left over. So there is, you know, a little bit under half left for the purchase of the fire truck, but overall the dollars amounts is not too bad. And then obviously it'll really just come down to the construction of the new City Hall that will be paying off. Any questions on the financials? Mr. President, if you like, when I'm done with the financials, I could cover the budget calendar as well at this time.
Are you done with the financials?
I am, pending any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Bloom on the financials? So, Mr. Bloom, the thing that you're talking about is not on the agenda. I will allow you to comment on it, but there will be no discussion because it is not on the agenda, so feel free to make any comment that you would like.
Are you referencing the budget calendar? Because I thought you
No, I thought
made a
you were
motion
talking about the money market account. Was that not what you were talking about?
Right. No, sure, not a problem. I just, real quickly on money market accounts, the purpose of putting that particular agenda item there is really just to put another tool into the city's money investment approach. It's not intended to be a catch-all or to be the best of anything, or even the last time we'll have a discussion about investing. It's just basically, right now, the city technically does not have a true blue money market account with Drummond Bank. And to give the city some more flexibility, it would just, you know, it's really a good idea just to at least have one money market that you can put funds into, even if it's a little bit better, you know, than your regular checking account or anything else. It's just another option that, you know, I think would be helpful to have available for the city. Just like most money markets that you kind of get for any personal or business use, putting money into a money market will not, you know, mean that you can't move the money or use it or you know, kind of come up with a better strategy. It's not like a CD where, you know, you put it in there for a year and there, or unless you want to negotiate or pay a penalty to withdraw the money. And so, there really is no risk or downside to having a money market account. You can put as much, as you think you can, or as little as you can. And that's kind of really the thought process. Overall, in terms of investing, I think, as we go through this process and the city continues to, grow and look at some other different options, probably investing is another place where we can want to kind of expand maybe our approach, as we try and find other revenue sources. And I think, investing overall will be something we will, certainly want to have a discussion. But this particular item is really just kind of one of those foundations, building blocks that normally you would have a money market account option available to kind of put some funds into to earn a little bit of interest. It's not a significant deal breaker right now because of most money market accounts, the rates are so low. But obviously once interest rates in general start to recover, money markets usually will offer a little bit better than a checking account, and will also give you more flexibility than a CD. But again, that's really kind of the reason for it. Once we have some more time to go over this, we will have more discussions on, how much we want to put in CDs, how much we want to put in the money market. Do we want to look at a third or even a fourth option in terms of a investment account where a financial advisor would, present to the council a plan to invest. So this is really kind of one of those building blocks, but nothing more than that.
Okay, are you aware, Mr. Bloom, that this will be on the next council meeting's agenda, and we would like you to be there, so we'll take under advisement your comments, and we will be bringing this up. Will you be available at the next council meeting via telephone?
Yes, I will, and hopefully in person, but we'll see how that goes.
That would be wonderful. I miss seeing your smiling face. Okay.
I miss being there.
Is there any other questions for Mr. Bloom? Not related to the money market account?
Who's gonna do this next, right?
Right.
Yes.
This calendar.
Do not be alarmed if I smash my mouse, because it doesn't perform. There's no page. Okay. Mr. Bloom.
Yes, sir.
We have before us the draft budget calendar for the fiscal year of 2021.
Okay. So the purpose of the calendar is for just to kind of give you the big dates that the council have to be aware of, as well as obviously for staff to kind of develop a timetable for the budget. I think two main things that I wanted to make the council aware of is the first key event for the council will be to establish your first budget workshop. That's kind of the first step that we go through each year. I penciled in, it's really obviously just kind of to put something in there, July 21st, which just was kind of mirroring what we did last year. And then I penciled in a second one for August 18. So that's really kind of the key. Is obviously the July 21st or the July one is the first time that we kind of present the full budget package to the council, and obviously start discussing budget priorities, additions, changes, that type of stuff. And we're already kind of provided the department heads with their templates. The expectation is to have the feedback from the department heads sometime this week. And then I normally would schedule meetings with each of the department heads, with the city manager Stroh attending those. And then from there, we would develop the package for the first budget workshop. So that's kind of the starter part of the budget process. The second thing I wanted to mention is that I had originally penciled in September 8th and September 22nd as the first and final public hearing. That's kind of what we do each year. However, I'm sorry, no, it's the 8th and the 22nd, I think, yes. However, the county has taken those dates. They have already turned in, I received it yesterday, I think it was, or Monday. The city will not be able to have the same public hearing date. However, normally what we do in this scenario, or what we've done in the past, is we would change the 2 meetings in September, that the council's approval, so that the public hearing dates are in line with the regular meeting requests, the regular meetings. However, that's not a requirement. That's just something that we've done in the past. So I just wanted to mention that you don't technically have to establish any dates tonight, but I wanted to kind of, throw that out there. I was hoping that the county would be having them on different dates, and that way you wouldn't have to make any changes to your regular meetings. But, should you elect or decide that you wanted to have the public hearing date, at 5 or 5:15, and then your regular meeting, you would have to change those to different dates. So that was the second thing I wanted to mention.
Is there any questions for Mr. Bloom?
Yeah.
Your Honor.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but those proposed date, July 21, August 18th, aren't those regular meeting dates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked them up there.
Yeah, I do too.
Except their county commission dates too, and they've taken them already.
So they probably are. Like I said, I try to, at least at the beginning of the very first draft of this, just kind of put in dates that are around there, around the regular meetings, in case, the council decided that they wanted to have the budget workshop first and then the regular meeting. But there is no, magic or anything purposeful about those particular dates, other than to be reminders that obviously we normally have a workshop in July and one in August. How you guys would like to, the times and stuff for that, that's your pleasure.
Any other questions?
When do you need to know by for the property, for the mail out?
Great question. So August 2nd, the line right below the July 21st, that is the deadline that I have to submit the proposed millage rate, which is your high water mark. So it's an electronic process that I go in and post the rates, and then from there, they will then send out the trim notices to the property owners. So August 2nd is your drop dead. So if there is not a meeting, see, August 2nd is let's see what August 2nd falls in this year.
Sunday.
Yes, that's a Sunday. Yeah, so they would probably want it in no later than the 3rd. So that would probably, we've kind of done this in the past. It usually means that the second meeting in July is when we would bring the agenda item to the council to approve, the maximum millage rate.
So do we need to set a date, a time for those two proposed?
That would be
in July and August, we might as well
23rd.
set a date, a time. Have to be 5 o'clock, it's not before,
Right.
because our meeting's at 6.
What days are you talking about?
The
The
July
21st.
21st and August 18th. Those are both council days, so we probably do it at probably 4 or.
And you're thinking that a budget workshop can be done before a council meeting?
We usually do, that's why you put them there. I mean, if we do it at 4 o'clock, we could be through by 6. Especially the first one, the second one
Right.
shouldn't last that long, but the
Right.
first one might.
I'm looking for a motion. If you wanna do those, somebody needs to do a motion. I personally have been through a few of these too.
Me too.
I know, I said two, and I have found that I have more questions than you can shake a stick at in these budget workshops. And now that we are working without the past city manager, I'm expecting to have even more questions, and I will do whatever the majority of the council wants. And, but I have reservations of only having an hour. Huh?
You'd rather do an
I'd
off
much rather do a budget workshop on an off week when I do not have the pressure of the council meeting coming down on me after what we're talking about is if we do it at 4, an hour and a half, and then we've gotta get ready for a council meeting.
Anybody else wanna move it? Y'all looking at your calendars?
I don't have my phone with me.
So if you wanna do the 21st on the 14th, and you wanna do the August the 18th on the 11th.
On the 11th, just the prior week, so, yeah,
Everybody okay with that?
at 4 o'clock?
Yes.
I don't need it, they got phones.
If we're not gonna have a meeting after, do we wanna do it 5 to give?
I think 5's plenty early
Yeah,
enough,
I
that
think
way we can
that's good.
actually, okay, so 5 o'clock,
On the 11th,
alright, so you want a motion to that effect, is that what you want?
To both at once, I think would be appropriate.
Okay, Stephen, can you hear me? This is Deborah.
Okay, yes, I can.
Okay, so I'm making a motion that we move the first budget workshop to July 14th at 5 p.m. and the second budget workshop to August 11th at 5 p.m.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilor Jones to move those meetings to the week prior, the ones on our list, which ends up being July 14th and August 11th. It had a second by Vice President Head. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any who are opposed signify the same. Mr. Bloom, we have set our budget workshop meetings. Are you aware of what they are?
Yes, I am. I am good with both dates.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Except now we've got 2 more that we doesn't sure out.
Say that again.
I think he said we cannot do September 8th or September 22nd. Do I understand that right, Mr. Bloom?
That is correct.
So we need to move those as well.
right.
We have to figure out when to move those two. Because the county's already claimed them.
So on my sheet, September 8th says county budget hearing, not us.
Mine says City of Louisville.
Yeah, mine does too.
September 8th, 5:01 PM.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first budget amended
Yeah.
hearing.
Yeah, Mr. President,
Yeah,
as soon as I received the county's,
I guess I got the
notification, I
new and
updated
approved.
the calendar and sent it in. So that's why you might have gotten the, updated one, whereas the agenda book, which was created prior to that, had the old dates. But
Okay.
yes, just to
Yes.
confirm, September 8th
In
and
mine,
September 22nd
I
are
just
county
have
dates.
to be determined
Okay.
with no dates set.
All right. Anybody have the first The 7th is Memorial, Labor Day. So, do we wanna go to the 1st?
September 1st?
September 1st and 15th?
Yes, you can't, that's too early unfortunately with the trim notice.
Too early, okay.
I believe the earliest would be the 7th, because you have to give the trim process, because if I mentioned earlier, August, you gotta give them enough time to get the trims out. The trim will have your first hearing date on it, that becomes your advertisement for the first public hearing date, so you've gotta give sufficient time for everyone to get that. So September 7th, that week, is the first week that you can have your first public hearing.
And it has to be done by September 25th, am I reading that correctly?
No, it does not have to be done by September 25th. Again, that was kind of the flow of everything. If those particular meetings that you have in there were possible, then the 25th would be it. It's basically saying 3 days after your second public hearing, we have to submit the resolutions to the property appraiser and tax collector. So whenever you do establish it, whether it's, whichever dates, I just have 3 days to get that information in.
So would the 15th and 29th work for the timetable?
Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
Everybody okay with the 15th and the 29th
Yeah.
of September? Because the others are all taken.
Counselor
When's
Roberts?
the regular
The
council meeting?
The regular council meetings are the
8th
8th and the
22nd.
22nd.
Oh, okay.
We can't use them.
That's right.
15th and 20 what?
15th and 29th.
Go for it.
I would move that we have the City of Williston first budget and millage rate hearing on September 15th, and the second and final budget hearing on September 29th.
Second.
Give me time.
Stipulate time, please, 5:01 or later.
5 o'clock? 5:01.
5:01.
5:01 it is.
PM.
Yes, sir.
I'm the only one up at 5:01 AM.
No,
No,
you're
you're
not.
not.
You're not.
Really? So I feel free to call you guys, huh?
Anytime.
And I'm a night owl, so you can call me a night. But not 5:01.
I wish I could sleep in.
Can we get a second?
Okay, I have a motion from Counselor Jones and a second by Vice President Head. That is to have the first budget millage hearing rate on the 15th and the final budget hearing on the 29th of September. All those at 5:01 PM. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any who are opposed signify the same. Mrs. Wright, will you please take note of those things?
And will you make us a new one of these, whoever made this? Mr. Blaine, can you make us a?
Yes, I did. Yep, I'm updating it right now.
Perfect.
Okay, Mr. Bloom, do you have anything else for the council?
No, thank you for your time.
Goodbye, Mr. Bloom.
Adios.
Say goodbye, Stephen.
Goodbye.
Item B, Resolution 2020-20, a resolution of the City of Council of the City of Williston, Florida, authorizing the submission of an application for funding for the hardening of the City of Williston wastewater treatment plant through the 2020 Community Development Block Grant Mitigation Program. City Planner.
I guess, are we actually, have another grant opportunity here, and I'm gonna turn this over to Dennis Davis, who will explain this project to you.
I have to get some water.
Thank you. Members of the council, Dennis Davis with Wright Pierce. We were made aware by the city's grant administrator, Fred Fox, of the availability of this grant. This is a community development block grant. It is a mitigation grant. If you'll remember, we are currently doing the phase 1 upgrades to the wastewater treatment plant under a CDBG neighborhood revitalization grant. This is a special grant that came up after the hurricanes, Irma, Matthew, and I think it was Hermine. And there was millions of dollars put forward towards funding of hardening of critical infrastructure. Through the grant program, there are certain types of facilities that qualify for this type of money, part of which is the wastewater treatment plant. If you also remember back, Wright Pierce had developed a facilities plan for the wastewater treatment plant that looked at multiple phases of improvements over the years. As I mentioned, we're currently working on the phase 1 construction. It's getting ready to start. The phase 2 project is in design, and now we have come across this money to do a potential phase 3 project. This project would include hardening the wastewater treatment plant. That is the office that is out there, the administrative office out at the wastewater treatment plant, the electrical building that's out there, the RAS and WAS pump station, a little bit of engineering jargon for you there, RAS and WAS pump station, and one of the valve buildings out there. We made a visit out to the site to look at those, along with CJ and his staff, and we found that the buildings needed a number of different upgrades. The roofs on all of the buildings need to be upgraded. The buildings need new lighting, emergency signs. The office building out there has a long list of needs that it needs. All of those things are listed in this agenda item right here. And so, working with Mr. Fox, this grant is open until June 30th of this year. There is some processes that we have to go through, and the first step in the process is to get the city council to approve the submittal of this CDBG application. With this resolution, we would take that would become part of the grant application. And then next week, we would post a notification on the city's website to let the public know about this, so that ultimately we could get all of our ducks in a row. The public notice would have been ran for 2 weeks, and Mr. Fox can make the submittal deadline of June 30th. And so that's what we're asking for today, is approval to move forward with this CDBG mitigation grant application.
Vice President had his hand up.
I was trying to find my place, thank you.
All right.
Vice President Head.
I did want to make, you said the RAS and the WAS.
RAS and WAS.
Okay, we're good there. Just want to make sure they were in there.
Was that it?
That's it.
I was hoping you were gonna make a motion.
That was my only question.
So we have a resolution before us. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2020-20, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, authorizing the submission of an application for funding for the hardening of the City of Williston wastewater treatment plant through the 2020 Community Development Block Grant Mitigation Program. Said application to be submitted to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity for the funding allocated through the Rebuild Florida Critical Facility Hardening Program.
Second.
The motion was made by Vice President Head, seconded by Councilor Jones. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any who are opposed signify the same. Resolution 2020-20 passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Item C, Resolution 2020-21, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, approving supplemental agreement 20-19 with Passero and Associates for grant administration, engineering design, and bid phase services for the general aviation apron rehabilitation at the Williston Municipal Airport. Mr. Stiegel, welcome to the council.
Thank you, Mr. President. The agreement that we have before you is a grant that, or an application for a grant that Passero is going to be executing on behalf of the airport. It is a ready grant, 100% funded by the FAA and FDOT, and what it covers is, as it says in the title, a rehabilitation of the general aviation apron. Common terms, large slab of concrete behind one of our hangars that is old and needs to be reworked. We do have a representative from Passero here tonight that can answer any questions that I may not be able to answer. So, that being said, what questions do you have?
This is for rehabilitation. This is a concrete apron?
Yes, sir.
And this is supposed to be for removal and replacement?
Yes, sir. This particular resolution is strictly for the design and bid phase.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And the grant, this is just for grant administration, correct?
Yes, sir.
Who pays for it?
The city of Williston pays for it.
Okay, now we're getting to the nuts and bolts. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Brad Winton with Passero Associates. So Vincent indicated that this is for grant administration. As a matter of fact, there's already an FDOT public transportation grant agreement in place that's been executed between the city and FDOT. The work order that is provided this evening for your review and consideration is for Passero's work order. You already have the funds to pay for it. It's a ready-only grant, 100% paid for by DOT. There's no cost associated with the city of Williston. Does that answer the question?
Well, it answers my question.
Yes, it does.
The project itself, it's 9,000 square yards of the general aviation apron. It's a mill and overlay. The project also includes a connecting taxiway from Delta One.
That was my question.
Yes, ma'am. Which provides, because right now they have to taxi all the way around. This will provide you a direct connect, and that's a new piece of pavement. So the project is grant administration, design engineering, permitting through water management district. It's new lighting, new concrete, asphalt, lighting, everything. So it's
all that is in the grant.
That's the design and bid phase for now. This project has been part of your joint, it's been in the CIP for several years. So the design phase, we'll bid it at some point, and presumably if this is approved this fall or early next 2021. And then we construct it in 2021 with a new PTGA construction grant. So that would be ready money as well.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
On the number.
2020-21.
I'll do it. Go ahead.
I move that we approve resolution 2020-21, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, approving supplemental agreement 20-19 with Passero and Associates for grant administration, engineering design, and bid phase services for the general aviation apron rehabilitation at the Wilson Municipal Airport, authorizing the city council president to execute the agreement and providing an effective date.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
The motion was made by Councilor Robinson. It was seconded by Councilor Jones. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any who are opposed signify the same. Motion 2020-21 is passed unanimously by the council. And now the one that we have waited on with gripped anticipation. Item number D, discussion with possible action, a review of the city manager job description, salary, and where to place ads for a new city manager, although we're extremely happy with our current city manager. Moving ahead. So let's try to take this one step at a time. First, a review of the city manager job description. Has everybody had an opportunity to read the job description that we had for the last time we had this? That we advertised?
I have.
You have?
If you're asking me, I have.
Okay. I'm asking everybody. Has
Yes.
everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
If I can find it there.
Would you like to go through this line by line, or is there some things in it that you liked and some things that you didn't like that you would like to change for this advertisement? Is there anybody that would not like to go through this line by line?
Let's try hit and miss.
Yeah,
If we can do that.
Pick out the good points.
Yeah, it won't take forever if everybody's marked what they want to change.
That's the question I need to get answered. So,
I have.
based upon this that was provided, is there anything that anyone would like to delete under the job description?
I have a question about essential duties and responsibilities under, well, it really doesn't have a number, under H, where it says responsible for oversight of, and writing and administration of city grants and special funds. I know, that's the last paragraph before machines and tools. It's like
The last, that we
it's like the
expected to
where it says-
participate in various community-oriented events?
No, on page 74.
Advise the council on a municipal.
That's the right paragraph.
Okay, that's the
And
paragraph.
it's the next to the last sentence, responsible for and overseeing the writing of and administration of city grants and special funds. He may oversee it, but he doesn't write them or administer them.
But he is overseeing the
He's
writing, which
overseeing.
means
I
if
guess
someone
you
else
could call
writes
it
it,
that.
someone else writes it, and then he has to look it over and agree
He'll be
with it.
responsible
Yeah.
for it. Okay.
And Mr. Copeland seems very happy with that. He almost never makes any signs, but I caught him nodding.
I think he was agreeing with your statement.
You caught me nodding?
Nodding assent.
Sleeping
Not
or
sleeping.
nodding?
Assent.
Approval.
This new chair that fine city manager got.
I'm looking at my chair.
So you're okay with that?
Which was it?
I am, if that's what the.
That's what I read it.
The first thing you need to change on page 73, which is the first page, is the pay plan,
The-
which
the
we started at
starting pay.
65,000.
Yes, I was going to
That's the
point
first.
that out when my turn came, but that's fine, I'm glad someone else has. We did discuss starting it at,
We did.
Correct.
we discussed advertising to start it at 65.
Correct, we did.
Last time we discussed this, and we started it at 60, but in fact, we offered him 70 when he started. So everybody understands, this is an advertisement, this is not, if you don't take this, we don't discuss it. Everyone understands it. Okay, so we want to change the starting pay, Mrs. Wright, to 65. Anything else?
Just as a point of interest, it says his and her, his/her.
Where are we talking?
Everywhere throughout the whole thing, but it also says, it doesn't say she, he, but it has S/he. I don't like that. I think if it needs to say she,
Okay.
I think if it needs to say she and he, it needs to say she and he.
Exactly,
Not a F/he.
Could
I'm
it
not
just say individual?
Oh, I don't know, let's see.
Humanoid?
For example, under, the first page under E, the last sentence says, and make such recommendation to the city council concerning the affairs of the city as S/he deems appropriate. It either needs to say they, or it.
I'd agree, that's
or it
a,
needs to say she.
terrible acronym.
And it's all throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't, so that, we wanna change that.
We do.
And we wanna just say they.
I think they works just fine. They is, and probably the his and her, they would work okay too.
Can you make those literary alterations?
I know it's silly, but it's just.
It's not really silly. I don't think it is silly. It is a curious way of putting it. You understand the issue, Mrs. Wright? So in all places where that says, where it is appropriate, you will put they or a different word from the English language.
Even his or her, she or he, but not S/he. Like no
Okay.
sense whatsoever.
Very good to have caught that.
And when we read F, where it talks about the temporary absence or disability of the city manager, do we want the city manager designating who his replacement will be? Or do we need to say in the short-term interim, they can do that?
Well, short-term interim is always open to conceptual interpretation.
Well, what does temporary absence mean? Like, is that one day or is that 2 months?
It is, again, open to interpretation. So
Okay.
I would agree that there needs to be some clarity there. I would think that, that should not, if there is a temporary absence, my understanding, and the mayor, I think, disagrees with me, but my understanding was that the city clerk was supposed to fill in for the city manager in short-term periods of not being there.
In the past, that has been the case.
Yes, in the past, it was the case.
If it ever got, where it got changed.
I don't know that it ever got changed, and the mayor was absolute positive that it never got changed. Am I correct, Your Honor?
That is correct, that's not in the charter.
It's not in the charter. However, it could be in the job description.
It could be.
But that would be contrary to the charter.
And appointing some other nondescript individual is not,
According to the charter, that's up to the city manager to name his replacement, temporary replacement while he's gone for a day or vacation or whatever.
It doesn't say that.
And if,
If it said that, I'd be fine.
and if the council does not agree with that And I'm
That-
just quoting the charter.
Give us the charter, Your Honor.
If they
That
do
is
not
here.
agree, if they do not agree with that, then the council has the right to name
Yeah.
that.
And that person was in here.
That portion is here, it says we can revoke it and name our own person.
Exactly.
But it doesn't have a time frame.
No, there's no time
If-
frame, and
if
there's no
it's
time frame in
a
the
day or
charter.
two or a vacation, I would
Exactly,
be
it wasn't
fine.
short time.
But what, this is kinda, could be months. You know, if they were sick at home for months.
But then that's when the council would come back and say, wait a minute, you need to correct that. But I'm just telling you what the charter says.
Which is important.
Just send me a copy of the charter, I haven't read it in a while. Thank you so much.
I don't have a problem with the way it reads, only because, I mean, we can,
Step in when we need
it's
to.
temporary absence, he can appoint somebody for a day or two, or even a week, and we have an opportunity
then
to
we
step in
can-
and revoke it and change it anytime.
Jump in.
We'd have to have a meeting to change it.
Actually, I think there's something about the mayor. Yes, Your Honor.
I would suggest that you put something additional under there and appoint some other eligible person to serve as acting city manager, and inform the mayor and council of absences and designee, something to that effect. But that's just,
So we at least know they're gone and then who it's gonna be.
that's just me. Because in the
I know
past, that was not all the time necessarily, so it has been done previously, but in the past, it has not all the time been done via email to the council and to the mayor. So that everybody would know how long he's gonna be gone and who the designee is for that time period, whatever it is. Just a thought.
I agree.
What do you agree, because I didn't understand it?
I agree that he needs to send us an email, whoever this person is, the city manager,
We need to include in here.
needs to
She
inform us.
needs instruction.
Well, just speaking,
Yes,
see if you
ma'am.
agree with me, to see that we need to be informed that they're not gonna be here, number one, and that who they're designating as their temporary, as the city manager in a temporary absence.
And how long?
And how, yes, exactly, how long they're gonna be gone.
Right.
In fact, they're not gonna be here, and an email would suffice, they just need to,
Yes, that's important.
no.
In the event of any temporary absence or disability of the city manager, they shall designate a qualified city employee to exercise the powers and duties of the city manager during such time, and notify the city council of the designee and the expected time of not being available.
Perfect.
Can you add the mayor in there too?
City council as a mayor.
And the mayor. Did you get that, Mrs. Wright?
No, I did not.
Good, you got it on the tape though,
I have
right?
it on the tape.
And you can reconstruct it from the tape, correct?
Yes.
So we don't need to go over it again,
No,
correct?
No, you don't.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Does everybody agree with that wording?
Yes, I agree. Definitely.
Sure. Okay. Moving on.
Somebody else's turn.
But you're so good at it.
Yeah, keep going, okay. I think
Yes.
I'm through, other than the he, she.
I have a question.
Your Honor,
Under education and or experience,
can you tell us where that is, sir?
under education and or experience.
Yeah, I need to find it.
Page number
Second
four.
page.
The second page.
Second page, Bob,
Thank you so much.
where it says,
Education and experience, and or,
third line where it says, or a closely related field, and is that 5 years, or is that 5 to 7 years related experience?
Mine says, and have 5 years of
Right.
related experience in any equivalent combination.
And I'm asking you, would you want to change it 5 to 7 years because, we haven't gone over the ad, well, the old ad, if I'm not mistaken, said
It says 5 to 7.
5 to 7 years.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, okay, so that's my point. So, just throwing it out.
No, that, I appreciate it. My feelings is, if they have 5 years of education and related experience, it's sufficient, and we don't need to cloud it by pushing 5 to 7.
Okay, well, then they add whatever y'all decide or whatever.
That's just my opinion.
5 years.
Because frankly, 5 to 7, does that mean if they have 8, they have too much?
No. No, I'm just saying, you got one item here that says 5 years, and you got one item here that says 5 to 7 years.
Yes.
You just need to make it.
Well, the one I have
To go
just
with
has
it.
5.
Yeah, well, that's the description, but
Right.
the old ad,
When you get to the ad.
when you get to the
says 5
ad,
to
that's
7.
when you can
Yeah.
change. That's why, that's just.
And if we have it on our description, that's the way it should end up on the ad.
Gotcha.
Does anybody have a different opinion? Mr. Coberlin?
I agree with the president's observation that if it's going to say 5 to 7, that's to the exclusion of others, so it should say a minimum of 5.
Fine with me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mrs. Wright? Did you understand that what it says here is must have 5 years related experience, and we're simply going to point out minimum of 5, because it is not in this job description that I have. That way, if they have 30 or 40 years, they're not excluded. Okay.
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 Anything else?
I would just say that a lot of these things are very, very important, so I was happy to see them in here.
Good.
Some of the, different functions and essential duties, like the coaching and the mentoring and the team leadership, all that's really important stuff. for
It
the-
really is. It's also extraordinarily difficult to identify.
It is.
Anybody have any other changes? Does everybody feel fine with the job description as we have amended it?
Yeah, for me.
I do.
Aaron, before you leave this building, you're going to stop this computer from doing this, right?
What's it doing?
Can you stop it from time
It's
to
gone bye-bye again.
No problem, and I'll
Okay.
do,
You
I'll
said it
take
would
care of all
only
of
take a
yours
few
if you'll,
seconds, but it will take me
if you'll give me a few minutes.
far too long.
If you'll just give me a few minutes each before you leave, I'll take care of all of them.
Can stop them from timing out.
Yes, that's what he said. He could stop it from timing out. Correct?
Yes.
Now I gotta go all back through my password.
Oh, Charles, mine just totally downloaded an update a while ago. It took probably 30 minutes of our meeting doing it, not mine. It's a good thing I
Okay,
had
I'm
it.
back. Oh, no.
Little technology.
Oh, no, take that one off. Take that screen off. That, you shouldn't see that.
Okay.
Don't be
Review
like
of
Green
city
Coast
manager's
Spring.
Salary, job. Okay, so we have all agreed on the job description. We have all agreed on the salary. Is that accurate?
Minimum salary.
Minimum
starting
salary.
What's the maximum?
There is no maximum.
Oh, wow. Where can I get an application?
You bring it to the clerk.
I'm sure it's in
We
the,
don't put a maximum
Right.
because it's up to the council to
it's
make
on the
those
pay
decisions.
scale, I'm
You don't
sure.
have 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, babe. You're qualified.
Yeah, he's got like 50 years. Okay, So the next thing is where to place the city manager ads. Did everyone get the list from the Honorable Mr. Robinson on his suggestions?
Yes, I did. I did.
I'm surprised you would get it.
I think, I did, but I think I had another one. Let me see if I can find it again.
I'm going to, for the benefit of those in the audience, I'm going to read this. The Florida League of Cities, the ICMA.org, ZipRecruiter, Indeed.com, and GovJobs.com. Those are just the ones that the Honorable Mayor Robinson found. And we're looking for others. Has anyone else found any other places that they felt, since we have determined we were not going to contact range riders, I will turn my head that way as soon as I make sure no one has got it this way. Can someone poke an eye in the left side of my head, please? Hi. Okay. How can I be a, what?
It's one of those, the Florida City and County Managers Association.
No,
All right, we need to send it there too.
we can,
FCCMA, I think it is.
yeah, something like that.
Florida City and County Managers Association. They do have a job board, because I did look it up. That was the only other one I wanted to add.
Okay.
Great.
Mrs. Wright, did you get the list of all those?
No, you know what, no, give it to me one more time to make sure.
Can you sneak into the city manager's email and hack it? Okay, I'll give you the list again.
Okay, I'll start to say I probably have it right here.
Okay,
It was sent to her.
I have tried forwarding emails to the city clerk and it didn't go that well.
It was addressed to Ms. Wright.
Only suggestions, the Florida League of Cities. ICMA.org, and ICMA is all uppercase. ZipRecruiter. Indeed.com. And GovT, jobs.com. And
And one of those is the Florida League of Cities that converted to that. I think it was Indeed. The Florida League of Cities has a job board too.
Mr. Coberlin, were you yawning or trying to get my attention, sir? Okay.
Florida League of Cities as well, please. Florida League of Cities job board. I think it converts to one of those the mayor had.
Which one?
I think Indeed.
Well,
It may.
I have no doubt that.
I just know that those are
can
separate
figure it
when
out,
I'm there.
right?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure she can.
If you send it someplace and it bounces, ask them why it bounced. And if you get them to answer a bounce, I would like to know what technique you use. Does anybody have any others? Does anybody in the audience or the building have any suggestions?
Maybe the Gainesville Sun?
That's a suggestion.
I don't know how wide their
I don't think the circulation is wide enough for this.
circulation is. Maybe not, but I know.
That's
they're-
very
I know
localized.
they're expensive too. so.
Yes. So let me go one step further. If anybody over the phone that happened to be viewing or anybody in the chambers happens to come up with another idea, please feel free to contact me or the mayor preferably, because he loves to be contacted. And please share that information. If you contact me, I can't talk to the rest of them, but he can. So those are the ones that we're going to advertise with, Mrs. Wright. Mrs. Wright, are you going to be the one responsible for placing the ad as the city clerk? Or is that going to be the HR department?
HR department.
That was pretty quick response.
Yeah.
Hey, she made a decision.
The HR department is going to be responsible for that. Do you agree, Ms. Joanne?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
She has a smile on her.
I just want to mention to the HR department, if it takes you 6 months, no problem.
You'll be terminated.
Be terminated.
One thing, did y'all wanna put a cutoff date on this?
Yeah, we have to look at this still.
That would be on the ad.
That's where the cutoff date is.
That is on the ad.
Yeah. And I noticed it did say in there to return it to the HR director, to real, because I was looking at her.
Good.
Except at the top it says city clerk, Ms. Joanne Nelson.
Well, the
So that
city
needs-
clerk, okay, that was a clerical error,
That
my
needs to be
bad.
changed.
The city clerk used to be the HR, the IT, the
got
city
my name.
manager, and
It's on
everything
there.
else.
Okay, 2 human resources, how's that?
Okay. So it will go back to the HR, and you are not the city clerk, you understood that, right?
I did understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we just need to have a date so that it's not just floating around forever. And in order to establish a date to end it, we need to establish a date to start it, don't we?
Tomorrow would be good.
Tomorrow would be great.
Okay.
Can you get this done by tomorrow?
Yes.
And place it in all of those places by tomorrow?
Certainly, I would have it.
Would you like a job as city manager? I'm sorry.
I'm not.
Okay, so that's what we wanna do. So how long do you wanna give?
3 days.
6 months?
I wrote July 15th, how about that? That's,
I'm open. You know, this is,
we can start
this
before the
is,
end of it.
this is June the
Is it the third, second?
June the 2nd, 2021. No, 2020. What year is it?
20.
20. Okay.
2020.
So it's 2020, June 2nd.
28.
So you want to give it a month?
You want to give it roughly 30 days? We'll just name a date. We don't want to do it July 2nd or 3rd because that's the 4th of July that we're not going to have.
July 6th is a Monday.
How about July 17th, that's 45 days?
Oh.
That is decisive and clear and eloquently said.
If we do it the 15th,
2021.
we can have it for our agenda on the 21st.
Pardon me?
If we do it on the 15th,
Uh-huh.
which is a Wednesday, we can have it for our agenda on July 21st.
Look at you.
That'll work too.
Yep.
July
That's this year or next year?
This year.
This year,
Okay.
2019.
I don't want him to throw things at me.
Friday, July 10th, to give time to compile everything.
Oh, that'll work.
That'll work too.
I'm okay with July 10th.
And don't pay any attention to what year we're talking about. We're really old.
I think we settled on July 10th.
Okay.
That sounds good to me.
Well, that was surprisingly less painful than I thought it was going to be.
We didn't go line by line.
I was looking for, I had already told my wife to go ahead and go to bed and feed the dog, that I'd be there sometime tomorrow morning.
You've been here by yourself. Here, where you want that hole? Here, I'll put that.
Counselor Jones, could I get, my wife usually just throws something, but go ahead.
I can do that, Carl. Oh, in this ad, we need to change, we talked about changing the city clerk to the HR director.
We did.
But we need to, as the mayor pointed out earlier, we need to take out the with 5 years experience, 5 to 7 years, and make it 5, just 5.
You did understand that, correct?
Minimum of 5 years.
Minimum qualifications, bachelor's
Minimum.
degree with 5 years experience in management,
Mhm.
and then the July 10th. I don't know if anybody else had a change or not.
I did.
You do?
I did. The same thing.
Oh, same thing, that's good.
I know that once we put it in your capable hands, it will happen expeditiously. Okay? Mrs. Wright, I would like to congratulate you on the way you are taking charge of your charter position. That was wonderful the way you handed that off.
Very good.
Okay.
Woo-hoo.
Public participation, item 6. Any member of the audience that would like to address the council, this is your second chance of the day. I will ask any public participation at this time. Mr. Aaron, have you had anybody there? Hearing none. Item 7, announcement. Councilor Robinson.
Announcement, June 14th is Flag Day. We can do that, and social distance.
We can.
We can.
Mr. President,
Go.
it's that time of the year again for ethics study.
Yes.
There is an ethics class over at Chiefland.
No, they canceled it.
They canceled it. They are doing one virtually though.
They notified me today.
Online.
2 different
Oh.
days, 2 days, 2 sessions.
2 sessions.
From 10 to 12.
A week apart.
From 10 to 12.
Have they given us a notice as to when?
Yeah.
Yes. And the mayor will be happy to share that with you because I cannot.
I got
Or
it on
the
my
city clerk, who I'm sure has gotten it. And that is on the
17th and 24th.
and 24th
From
of
10 to
July.
10 to 12.
June.
June.
June, July, whatever it is. Mrs. Wright, you have to pay for that.
No.
No.
It's free.
It's free?
League of
Because we're
Cities,
members
isn't
of
it?
the League of Cities.
Yes, we are members.
Yeah.
It says because we're members, we don't have to pay.
As long as our dues have been paid.
As long as our dues has been paid.
It's gonna be a webinar, if you all would like to meet here in the council chambers. Aaron would have it up on the screen so everybody would be able to view it.
But don't you have to do it individually to sign in? I mean,
No, I mean, I could send her a list.
Yes. Could you put me on it, and if I don't show up, just pretend I did?
Now, there's gonna be 2 that same day. One's gonna be at 10 and the other, I believe, is at 2.
actually,
I thought they're advertised as being on separate days.
I emailed Lynn
Okay.
this morning, and that's the information she gave me, which I was gonna send out tomorrow to everyone.
The email that I got today
Okay.
said 2 separate days
Yeah.
from 10 to 12.
She's gonna send us a corrected one, is what she
That's
did
what I
say.
Okay,
received,
that's
too.
good.
So here's the question. If it is a single setting, how many people of the council would be willing to meet in the council chambers and view the webinar?
We'd have to advertise it, obviously, so people would know we were here.
Why do we have to advertise in
Right.
education?
Because of
We're
the-
not having a meeting.
No.
Because of the sunshine law.
no.
No, no, this
We're not
is an
meeting.
education, this is not a meeting. We don't have to advertise
No, it's
that.
not a meeting, but we might discuss things.
Well, we just won't discuss anything.
I still think you should post it on the,
Well, we could have done it anytime we ever went, but we didn't, so.
Yeah.
when the whole.
If you
when the
need a
whole-
legal opinion, you
When
can
the
ask
whole
Mr.
planning and
Copeland.
zoning went to the training in Gainesville, we posted it on the door that we were going, just to cover our
Well, that's a
bases.
nice thing to do, but,
It doesn't hurt anything to
doesn't
do
hurt
it.
anything. Your Honor.
Actually, you and I were elected this year, correct? Or we qualified, no opposition.
That is correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Copeland he can correct me if I'm wrong, but according to the ethics class, if you're elected with any given year, you do not have to attend ethics class that year. You do the following year. So.
Is that accurate, Mr. Copeland, to the best of your knowledge?
I can advise you that tomorrow, I have another research.
Okay,
I'll look.
advise me.
I thought I had to do it
If
every year.
Mr. Copeland
I thought I had to
advises
do
me
it all.
that I do not have to do the class that I have done 9 years in a row,
The
it has never changed in content.
Yeah.
The year
I
that
will
you
not be
are
doing it.
elected, you do not have to attend the ethics class, but you do the following year and that year, the next,
Right.
and all that kind of stuff.
So they give you a year of grace.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
1
what
year
you're
of growth.
saying.
According to the mayor's thoughts, the city attorney will be notifying the people that were elected last year,
This year,
it's still
But you
this
just
year?
got reseated, so I think you have to do it from last year.
Who's gonna put this on?
it was a new
We did
election.
it last year.
It was a new
It is
election.
Florida League of Cities.
Jerry Lawrence, the same guy.
Same guy.
Jerry gonna
Yeah,
come do it.
Same guy,
Yeah.
same content, same words,
Or Jerry.
no new laws.
Same
Yeah, I know,
story.
Jerry, that Jerry.
That Jerry.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Coberlin, if you would please rescue me if I can be rescued. If not, I will be there. I will be looking anxiously for your email.
I bet because you got reelected, you have to do it. Not like you're a new election.
I can't answer that. Mr. Coberlin can, but he will not put himself out on a limb
I don't blame you.
until he has information that can save him from the hawks that are trying to prey upon him. And all that was on your announcement.
I
That was
enjoyed that.
Mr. Ross.
Don't blame that one on me.
Mr. Ross jumped in out of sequence and threw me off. Vice President Head.
How dare you?
You'll catch
Is
up.
your name Deborah?
I don't have any announcements. I think I missed my time for what I was gonna say
Okay,
earlier.
I'm so sorry, sir.
Mrs. Jones' picture's not on the website yet.
Oh, thank you. I like,
Sorry, I should
did
have.
somebody hear that? Thank you.
Make sure that
I sent them
correction
one.
is made.
They asked me for one and I sent them one, so that should be.
It was not a JPEG, was it?
Counselor Jones.
It was not a JPEG.
Announcements, Counselor Jones.
I do not have any.
Thank
I
you.
made them earlier.
City Manager Strode.
Interim. Joanne, I'll get with you first thing morning, let's see that posted. I have nothing.
Nothing you will, man.
Mrs. Wright. Mr. Coverland.
Two things, the Ethics Commission mentions a newly elected official, may be exempt.
That would be me.
And, if your last name starts with G, you must go every year. No matter what your interpretation is.
Mrs. Wright, I will be one of the people who will be more than happy to be there.
And,
Thank you.
The other thing I'll work on is that, I'll let Ms. Nelson know, the answer to the question that, everybody wants to know about the usage of the, quote accredited college or university in that education and experience section of the, job description for the city manager, and whether or not a degree from the University of Tennessee would qualify.
It may take you a lot longer to do this if you're waiting for a degree from Tennessee.
Mr. Stroh.
Your Honor.
Mr. Stroh, when is his contract up?
That is,
It's probably 2 days after the new city manager.
oh, I see. Was that it, Your Honor? Yeah, I have nothing, this meeting is adjourned.
Don't forget, you gotta wait on the IT.
Thank you, Your Honor, because I was just about to close this